Imagine being 14 years old and going home with your little sister, out and about with your little sister, 12-year-old sister, and you're trying to get home, but two grown men are harassing you, and the cops won't do anything. What do you do? Well, let's see what the now well known Scotland Sophie had to do.
Yeah, she have a knife.
Hey, I'm fucking profit. You're fucking bad against
Why you
me.
fucking with us?
You're fucking cat bashers.
Show the knife. Show the knife. Show the knife.
Fuck away from her.
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her.
That's
Touch
it.
me.
That's
Do
it.
whatever you
Show
want
the
to me.
knife.
Don't touch my sister.
Show the knife. That's it.
Don't fucking touch my little sister. She had fucking 12. Where's her fucking touching me? She has fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate. Where's my fucking touching me?
Yeah, show the knife. Maracha.
Don't touch her gun to me. Don't touch her.
That is the young lady known as Sophie Scotland. Now I came across this story on X, and I am so troubled by it because you see the young lady, and she was defending herself because apparently two um, immigrants, don't know if they're illegal or not. So I'm not going to say because I don't know how they do it over there in Scotland. They were harassing her and her sister the day before. They felt unsafe. And here's a little op-ed on the story. It was on August 23rd, 2025 at 7:40 p.m. in Dundee, Scotland. A 14-year-old girl named Sophie was filmed standing between her 12-year-old sister and two adult men described as Islamic migrants who had been harassing them. The footage shows Sophie shouting, "Don't touch my little sister, she's 12," as she brandished the knife and a small hatchet. To some, this was a shocking display of juvenile delinquency, but to others, it was a symbol of a society that has so thoroughly abandoned its own daughters that children now believe they must arm themselves in order to be safe. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. This young lady had to defend her and her sister because these men apparently have been menacing them for weeks. Not just yesterday, but for weeks. And the men filmed the girls as they were again brandishing the weapons because they were saying get away. There was no bloodshed. Nobody lost their life. But guess what? Guess who got arrested? Guess who got arrested, y'all? She got arrested. The men never got arrested. The men who have been harassing these two young ladies, they didn't get arrested. No, no. The young lady got arrested. And this is heartbreaking. I don't know the laws in the UK, and I'm glad I live over here in the US. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I am very glad that I live over here in the US. They're saying in a nation where Pakistani grooming gangs were allowed to abuse tens of thousands of girls over decades, y'all, where reports were ignored because officials feared accusations of racism or Islamophobia. One can no longer be surprised that the states sees a knife in a girl's hands as the crime rather than the attempted predation that forced her to carry it. So they're not even looking at the gentleman for harassing little girls. They're more concerned about the fact that she had a knife. I don't know the laws over there if they weren't supposed to be carrying a knife and so on and so forth. But I'm gonna tell you, over here in the U.S., I don't play. I'm not playing. I used to walk around with a knife in my purse. I'm not. I'm not even going to front. I did because I wanted to make sure that I was safe. And it's sad that this is where they're at. And the reason why I found this story so interesting is she's become a hero. She's definitely become a hero. I believe they are able to get her out of jail, if I'm not mistaken. And I will follow up with the story to make sure she is not facing any time for brandishing that weapon. But the way they put the story out, it said that the sterile headline said schoolgirl brandishing a blade. They didn't say, there was no context to it, there was no explanation. There was no word of grooming or harassment. They ain't talk about none of that stuff. All they talked about was that she had a weapon. But like I said, she has now become well known, and the whole world is supporting her. Now, look at this right here. Keir Starmer successfully blocked rape gang investigation. Do y'all see that? The Labour Party, in a decisive 364 to 111 vote, blocked an inquiry into the country's crisis involving grooming gangs. The decision denies justice for over 250,000 young women and their families. Yeah, yeah, that's what's going on over there. And why is this story so important? How do I break this down for y'all? Why this is so important? Candace Owens is doing such a great job warning people about Israel and the Jews. And when I say doing a good job, I'm being sarcastic. Warning everybody about the Jews and Israel and how bad the Jews and Israel is. Like that's every time I turn around, her stories is leading to how bad the Jews and Israel is, and we need to be concerned about the Jews and Israel. But for some weird reason, she's not talking about the influx of Muslims that follow Islam that are here in the US. She's not talking about it. She's not standing on 10 toes down to discuss it. She's not talking about how they wanted to build Epic City in Texas, how they have a whole community in Dearborn, Michigan, how Paterson, New Jersey is called the capital, the Arabic capital of the United States. She's not talking about what's being done in Florida. She's not talking about how in Brooklyn it looks like the Middle East. It don't look like New York. When I saw the video, I was confused. I was like, what country is that? That's New York? She's not talking about that. And the thing is, she doesn't talk about the leaders that are rising up here in the United States that are in this space, that are amongst these people. She's not talking about the Zoran Mamdanis. She's not talking about the Ilhan Omars. She's not talking about the Rashida Tlaib, the Omar Fateh. She's not talking about these people. And the thing is, the reason why the UK looks like the UK is because no one paid attention when all these people that have different beliefs and ideologies that want to take over started moving into the places of power and position. Not paying attention to that. So if you look across the UK, if you go to England, majority of the mayors are Muslim. They're Muslim. And they have their own laws. They have Sharia law. They have a bunch of different laws. And their belief system does not coincide with our belief system. So the foolishness, like what this young lady had to go through and others have had to go through over there, they're trying to bring it over here. Difference is this is a 2A country and we really don't play. But with that being said, if we're not paying attention and we're so busy running from the Jews, you're looking at the wrong person. You're looking at the wrong group. And no, I don't have anything against Muslims. Some of my friends are Muslims, but they're Christian Muslims, just in case there are Christian Muslims. They don't follow Islam. And what people don't realize, there were a lot of people who escaped from those Islamic countries to come to the United States so they can practice their Christianity without being concerned for their life. But now people like the Ilhan Omars and all them bring everyone else over here who don't want Christianity. I just want y'all to be aware of that. I want y'all to be very clear and understand they don't want Christianity. Okay? So right now, I look at it like, those scouter ants. This is the best way for me to explain it, y'all. They send out the ant that's a scout and it goes and it sees if the ground is good, if there's food, if this is a great place. And then they go back and they get the rest of them and it's all a whole bunch of them just take over. That's literally what's happening. So you put Ilhan Omar in place. Okay, Rashida Tlaib, you put the rest of them in there and okay, no one has kicked up a fuss. We said some radical things, not too much, but we're getting more radicalized as time goes on. Then you throw on an Omar Fateh and a Zoran Mamdani, and they start saying even more radical stuff. And yet, Americans aren't even paying attention because they sit down and listen to Candace Owens and just be looking at the Jews who have been amongst us this entire time. They're busy looking at them. And then when they go and vote for Zoran Mamdani, the next day when he talks about democratic socialism, now they have to go and make the Google trend. What is socialism? They're voted for something they don't even know what it is. They don't even know the sect of Islam that he's from. They don't know his beliefs. They don't know anything about it. He just looked charismatic, so we're just going to support. I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all don't pay attention, what poor little Sophie had to deal with in Scotland, that's the mess we're going to have to deal with here in the United States. Because as I was talking to one of my very best friends, I said, I don't remember when we were growing up in school in New York that we had all these holidays for Islam. I said, I don't know. I remember seeing them on the calendar, but I don't remember us taking them off. And she was just like, yeah, well, that's because have you seen how many live in New York now? I was like, no. She said, if you don't take it off as a holiday and they take off multiple, this classroom's gonna be empty. Look at that. And mind you, not only are they moving here, but they're also converting people. And then there are people that are so radicalized that they're destroying schools and things of that nature for free Palestine. I'm just saying, y'all need to, again, that is the fox in this situation. Stop listening to people like Candace Owens and Tucker and all the rest of them to keep telling you to look at the Jews. Y'all better pay attention over here before the United States start looking like the UK and them over there. We don't want to be them over there. Okay. We like the way it is here. And if you like the way it is, you better pay attention. You need to be paying attention to the bills that are being passed, the people that are running. What are their backgrounds? What are their beliefs? What do they stand for? That is what you need to be doing. And I'm not just talking about when they get to president, because everybody's like, oh, president. No. Look at your local government. Pay attention. Pay attention. Because right now, America's asleep at the wheel and letting people like the people I named, Candace Tucker and all them other ones, keep telling y'all to look this direction when everything else is happening in that direction. I'm just telling y'all. Sophie, my prayer is with you. I pray for those young girls in the UK. I pray for all of you because that's a very, very, very heart-wrenching story. That's heart-wrenching to know. I can't even imagine my daughter walking out the house and being afraid because there's grown men trying to come after her. I'm not the one. The mama bear definitely wakes up, and I don't play. I don't play about my children. So, anyway, that is what I have for y'all today. Please go ahead, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, please, onto all so that you know whenever I'm dropping a new video, when I'm going to start going live, so that I can always share new content with y'all. I thank y'all for watching. Please let me know in the chat if you agree with everything that I'm saying. And I will see you guys next time here on Crystal Beyond Labels. Later.